all, one of the reasons I brought his resume and everything, I called him, and when I spoke to him the last time, I asked him to please send me his resume and his mission statement and everything, because I wanted to read his whole resume. I've been
It's a little long though.
I like it. It's quite amazing.
He's been everywhere.
Yes, and I feel like I lost a really good friend, you know. I've been a parks activist for 22 years. In the 22 years that I've worked with the Parks Department, he is the best I have seen out of any of the parks directors that have been here. I am ashamed, embarrassed, and disgusted by what I have been told, the way he was treated. He was, I spoke to him on the phone, and I've had 4 people call me confidentially from the Parks Department. And they told me that there was a coalition of parks managers that went to Francis Suarez and basically just complained about him until he was fired by the city manager. Our interim director, Lara DeSouza, Donald Lutton, the superintendent, Robert Gonzalez, an area coordinator, Wesley Carroll, an area coordinator, and Jose Relo, a parks manager. There are some other people, I don't know who they are. Some park manager from Moore Park, I was told, was also part of the group. I think it is an embarrassment to this city that this type of behavior, backstabbing behind the scenes, unprofessional, disrespectful to a man who has an enormous amount of talent and experience and came here making positive changes. And one of the things that he did, which I was extremely proud of, was that he saw what was happening to our children's programs and the children and the families, especially the low-income children and poor families in this city, who were being policied out of our programs by fees and regulations and rules to exclude children. We had children that were thrown off of a van service that I set up. And Donald Lutton, the superintendent, and Wesley Carroll did everything they could to stall, delay, and stop that from happening. And only because Commissioner Sarnoff supported me was I able to do that van service. I received no support at all from anybody from this Parks Department setting that up for those kids at Legion Park. And he had the audacity to throw those children off the bus. And at this meeting, we were supposed to review all of the fees for all of the programs, for the van service, for the summer camps, for the holiday camps, for everything. Review what we were charging and come up with something that was going to be inclusive instead of exclusive. I plan to speak out loud and clear from now on. I am tired of being politically correct. I don't care who likes me or doesn't like me. I am done. I am done with people being treated this way. I volunteer my time to make this city better and our Parks Department. And I said, and I am ashamed and embarrassed by what's transpired. That's all I have to say about it. And Devin, thank you very much for recommending him. The 5 months that we had him, it was a breath of fresh air that blew through this Parks Department. And it showed how lacking we are in talent. I just hope this new guy is ready for what he's stepping into. I mean, I've had so many knives stuck in my back, and when it gets to be a bad issue, they bring everybody in to the room. And everybody sits down, and they say, this is the issue, and we resolve it. We don't do this behind the scenes and bad-mouthing and being disrespectful. The things that were told to me by some of the employees in this Parks Department are just shameful. that our management staff has participated in. Absolutely shameful.
Anyone else have anything else to say?
I don't really have, you know, it's, obviously the concerns you brought up are very, you know, obviously you did your homework and people told you that. But I think whenever, coming from the corporate side, the idea is to look at the facts and look at the, you know, things and all that, and I don't know how much of this is, you know, because first we hear that he resigned, then he was fired. Well, was he resigned? Did he resign officially? Was he fired? Number two, some of the comments, are they on record? Are they not on record? You know how these things are sometimes. So, you know, as a group, again, we're not even doing a formal meeting here. We're having more of a discussion. So I would say we have to be careful what comes out on record, because we really don't know anything at this point. I don't know anything. You know, we heard things from what you're saying. I didn't hear anything. So I guess it's more of maybe when we have our group, as you mentioned, maybe bring in some folks as the advisory group. I think it's important for us to know what really happened. I don't know what happened. And then use that information so we direct the parks
you can call,
in a good way.
Well, you got Mr. Motley's phone number. You can call him and he'll fill you in. One thing he did say to me that I was quite stunned at, he told me that he received numerous phone calls from employees, and they stated that Lara made a comment that, well, we send Motley back to Missouri, and we can certainly send this new guy back to the county if we don't like how he acts. So these are the type of things that the employees are stating, and obviously if she said it, she can deny she said it, but people were making statements like this. So when I hear stuff like this coming from management, I find it quite embarrassing and disgraceful.
If it is true, I would agree with you. And again,
And it's a shame she's not here tonight to explain herself.
harping back on what Frank was saying, I think as we move forward towards next month is, if you can, try to bring as much information as possible. So we're enlightened, the board as a whole, of what transpired. And again, like I mentioned earlier, to make sure that the following director doesn't fall into these same traps. We have too much work to do. We need to move forward. We need to have progress. We need to acquire more land, create more parks, take care of the children, take care of the seniors. There's a lot to gather, to take into account here, and we need to move forward with whatever director we have now. We have now this.
Well, I mean, the pending issue that's happening in City Hall right now, obviously, is the most pressing one at the moment.
It's been since
so
May,
obviously,
April.
You know, that's a big issue, and I think parks, as land becomes more difficult to acquire, or more important. And for us as a team to advise properly, we need to have more information. So I guess my opinion right now is I don't have an opinion until I find out more information. So you know, then we can have a good opinion.
So I have a question for you. Were you aware that Mr. Lutton was put on a 3-day suspension?
Yes, I was.
Did any of you know this?
I knew this because I had a meeting with Mr. Motley for 2 hours at Legion Park to review all of the long-term problems in the park. And during the park, we talked about Mr. Lutton's attitude and the way he's treated the families that are poor and working class. I have had many parents, mothers, I've walked into the office and they're there crying, and I'm like, what's going on? Why is this mother crying? And it was something that Donald did, stopping a child from participating in a program, you know, with this zero tolerance to bend or flex a rule, creating fees that parents can't afford. And I started to talk to Mr. Motley about that, and he says, well, I've had some problems with Donald. And it came out that he had been suspended for insubordination. His staff members went to Mr. Motley and said that during a staff meeting, he was bad-mouthing the director. This is the superintendent of our Parks Department, in charge of our Parks and Recreation programs, bad-mouthing our Parks Director in front of his staff. Why would the city tolerate that? And Mr. Motley gets fired and this man still has his job? Why is that?
These are definitely difficult questions to answer. And
You know, the only reason that they didn't get brought up on charges, and by the grace of God, no child was killed crossing Biscayne Boulevard when they were thrown off that van service. That never had to happen. They should have come up with a plan of action that included all the children. When you have a fee, just like we have for summer camp, there is a fee for all of the children. If you're poor, you don't pay. You pay according to income. And he didn't want to do that. And Kim wanted to send a counselor to Biscayne Boulevard to stand there till we were able to get crossing guards to make sure the children cross the street safe, and he forbid her. Donald Lutton forbid her to send someone down there. And this is the person that we have in charge of our Parks and Recreation program. We need new management in our Parks Department. We need new leadership. We need people that respect the fact that we're an international city, that we have children from poor families attending our programs. We need to create fees that are inclusive, and we need to respect everyone. And that's not happening, and it needs to change. And Mr. Motley was changing everything. That's why they wanted to get rid of him.